Hello. Excuse me one moment. There's something that I absolutely must do. All right. I gotta flip it. All right. Got it. All right. What wash should I do, guys? Amaro? Are you feeling Mayfair, perhaps? All right. You know what? I think today is a Sierra day. All right. It's got this nice wash. Looks very, very retro. All right. Wait. I got a hashtag. What do you think the hashtag should be? Let's see. Epic TED. All right. Much better. I come from the generation that might perhaps be known as the most narcissistic generation of all time. And I'm proud of this fact. My name is Sunny Glottmann, by the way. I'll probably say that 3 or 4 more times, so bear with. All right. When I first started at Bergen Community College, my experience was marked by one particular momentous occasion in history: Occupy Wall Street. Regardless of political ideology, I'm not going to try to proselytize to you here today. I was curious about Occupy, so I went down. I watched, I occupied, I marched. No police came. I didn't get to fight for my freedom. There were no sit-ins. Lots of tweets, though. And shortly thereafter, this image was swept across the internet. Perhaps it was the most shocking criticism of the Occupy movement. You say, why? Well, this is a movement against large corporations, against Wall Street. Yet clearly, everyone is funding Wall Street with the goods on their backs, their haircuts, their iPhones. And you ask yourself, do they notice the hypocrisy? Do they see what's actually going on? And then I think to myself, well, this is my generation, and here I am with my own iPhone and my own fedora, and on a lesser day, my own pashima scarf, which apparently is a unifying force among peasants in Palestine. But here, we sell them for $3 on the street in matching colors for our Converse kicks. But anyway, so let's go a little backwards. How did the hipster generation come to exist? And how did it come to thrive within consumer culture? Because really, the hipster generation is undefinable. Let's face it. Really, it is just a byproduct of youth culture. And our youth culture is steeped in consumerism. One might even argue that we are the creation of consumerism. Victor Frankenstein is Wall Street, and we are his creation, flawed, scarred, stitched up, yet somehow beautiful. I went on the internet to do some research because I thought to myself, I don't even know what I am, so maybe the internet will tell me. And I looked up definitions of hipsters, and I found a wide array of what it means to be a hipster these days. Apparently, it's an array, a subculture of men and women, typically in their 20s and 30s. That's me. That value independent thinking, great. Counterculture, progressive politics, an appreciation of art and indie rock, creativity, intelligence, witty banter. Hipsters reject the culturally ignorant attitudes of mainstream consumers and are often seen wearing vintage and thrift store-inspired fashions, tight-fitting jeans, old-school sneakers, and sometimes... Oh, I lost the thick-rimmed glasses. Then we also go on to see that it refers to people, again, same age, who drink Budweiser and PBR and smoke Ford cigarettes. I never drink domestic beer. So then they go on to say that we use a great deal of sarcasm, guilty as charged, and also we claim to be ironic. There's a whole other thing about Vonnegut and French New Wave cinema and yada, yada, yada. We're great and too cool for school. But essentially it all comes down to definitions are too mainstream for hipsters. We are an ambivalent culture. Screw you, individualism. We can't be defined. Irony. It seems to be the word that defines us and unmakes us at the same time. Webster's dictionary, the expression of one's meaning by using language that normally signifies the opposite, typically for humorous or empathetic effect. Personally, I don't like this definition. I like Ethan Hawke's definition, reality bites, which is something that if you were to name drop at a bar and pianos on the Lower East Side, you'd be loved by all. Ethan Hawke said that irony is when the actual meaning and the literal meaning are two different things. I love Ethan Hawke. So let's look at some hipster trends and see if they are in fact ironic. We're going to start right here. This is a fixed gear bicycle. I don't know if any of you know what a fixed gear bicycle is. It's a bicycle that doesn't have brakes. This bicycle is very popular in Brooklyn, may I add. Again, think about that. No brakes, urban city, lots of cars, and oh yeah, Sparks beverage. Because what you really need when you're shooting down the BQE at 30 miles an hour is an alcoholic caffeinated beverage. That's smart. Another thing, we have the evolution of the hipster. My personal favorite being the mountain man. And note, the text is way too small, so I'm not going to waste your time too much with that. Just savor the image. And lastly, my personal favorite. Williamsburg, the mecca of hipsters, has an event called the Smorgasbord every summer where you can buy artisanal goods. Apparently, artisanal is a big hype word in hipster culture. And, as you can see, they sell anarchy in a jar. I'm a little bit surprised. I didn't know anarchy could actually be bottled and then distributed and sold for a reasonable price, but apparently anarchy can and often is sold in a jar. I would love to buy one of these jars and go have my own personal revolution, but unfortunately I think I might die from the sugar intake because apparently anarchy is jellied. This is another favorite trend of hipsters. While there are a billion starving people in the world, we don't merely savor our food in our bellies, we also love to photograph it. My Instagram personally is an homage to burgers, pesto, and muffins. And another thing, hipsters often happen to look homeless. I mean, it kind of fits in with the wardrobe. This I've had now for 7 years. It cost me $12, and I think it looks marvelous. But allow me to stop for a second. I've right now told you all about the ironic trends of hipsters, what we seem to be on the surface, and why most people hate us. The New York Times has written numerous articles bashing hipster culture. I myself feel this cringe in my soul when I hear myself referred to as a hipster. But there is something very unique about hipster culture, different than any other culture in the past. Hipster culture, which I am no longer going to refer to it as hipster culture, because I consider that offensive. Youth culture is different in America nowadays. And you ask why? Why is youth culture different in America nowadays? The reason why is because we are the first force to have a collective distortion of perceived reality. Because everything, every good, every experience, every emotion has a perceived value and an actual value. Our perceived value is universal. Our actual value, meh. But our perceived value, that's a powerful thing. You know why that's powerful? We are the first generation to carry the youth vote. Yes, we can, and we did. If you look at it, 1968, Richard Nixon won. Millions of hippies went to Woodstock and burned their bras and danced in the mud and wrote really angry rock music. We tweeted. Actually, a good friend of mine wore this mittens for Mitt at a bar. Everyone thought it was really ironic. He went around waving it at everybody. This is my mittens. Another thing we did, we have stood up against human injustice, and we have done so with our dollar. This is the first time that people have figured out that, hey, we are consumerists. We will spend money, and we won't spend money at your establishment. People lined up at Chick-fil-A to either protest gay equality or defend it. Our generation was the first generation to understand that words and speeches are great, but the US dollar always wins. Now, we're not perfect. We buy Ray-Bans in rainbow shades. We wear tacky clothes. We have taste in poor music. Sometimes we even listen to Pitchfork and other blogs. We've invented the most useless catalog of verbs known to exist. Have you ever said to yourself, oh, I'm going to go Google that? I have. I even said to somebody the other day, let me IMDb this person. We're pop culture scholars. We've forgotten the classics. Our lexicon is shrinking by the day. But there's hope for us. We are communicating every single day. In fact, we've invented more words for communication than any other culture before us. And if you think about it, communicating is what keeps us young. It's that power that'll make it so that our future generations will continue to carry on. They will continue to watch Doctor Who and make really obscure references to pop culture. How cool is that? And maybe, if we collectively distort our perceived perception for the right cause, then things might actually start improving. Look at Tom's shoes. For every pair you buy, another child gets a pair of shoes in Africa. The shoes themselves are really ugly, I'm not gonna lie. But we have perceived them to be something desirable, and because of that, they sell. Now, if we can do this for clean energy, for hunger, to end war, if we can make it valuable and sellable and hashtagable, then we got this. Thank you very much.